My fiancé forgot to end the call, and I overheard a heartbreaking conversation with my fiancé's family that changed everything before our wedding. I, a 26-year-old female, was supposed to get married last week, but it didn't happen because I ran away the night before. I was engaged to my boyfriend, also 26, for 6 months, and we had been in a relationship for 3 years. My now ex-boyfriend and I have 2 kids together, twin boys aged 1. We didn't plan to have them, and my boyfriend was very against me having our kids in the first place. But I was stubborn and told him that I'd be having them with or without him. I gave him the option to leave and didn't even demand child support. I believed I was capable of raising my babies on my own, no matter what. I've always had a strong maternal instinct, and for me, the timing just felt right. I was ready to be a mom, but he needed time to come around, or so he said. When I told him I was going to break up with him if he kept pushing me to terminate the pregnancy, he finally seemed to accept it. After that, he was a good partner throughout the pregnancy and a good father after the birth. We hadn't expected twins, and I'll admit, I might not have been able to manage that by myself. I was lucky he stayed. After my sons were born, he did everything a father does. 6 months later, he proposed, and I said yes. It was as if the whole episode where he pressured me to terminate the pregnancy never happened. I forgave him, softened by the experience of motherhood, and was ready to marry him. We had already been together for 3 years and shared a pregnancy, so it felt like the right time. For months, we planned the wedding, and I was truly happy. My parents were thrilled too, they adored my ex. He seemed like the perfect guy. Then, the night before our wedding, everything fell apart. One phone call destroyed our 3-year relationship, but I guess it saved me from entering a disastrous marriage. The day before our wedding, we were staying in separate places, as is customary. I was at our house, while he stayed with his family, just a couple of blocks away. After dinner, he called to tell me he loved me and couldn't wait to marry me. It was an emotional moment, and we exchanged goodbyes. But he forgot to hang up. Curious, I stayed on the line when I heard his father speaking to him. His dad asked if he had been talking to me, and my ex sounded dejected and distant as he said yes. I immediately sensed something was off. The conversation that followed still plays in my head on a loop. His dad asked if he still felt the same way he had 2 days ago, and my ex said yes. His mom joined the conversation, telling him he needed to go through with the wedding regardless of his feelings. My ex flared up, saying they couldn't force him to marry someone he didn't love, but his dad reminded him they could cut him out of their will. His mother then lectured him about responsibility, saying that now that he was a father, he needed to grow up. She told him that having kids before marriage was bad enough, but he could still save the situation by marrying me instead of postponing it just because he didn't feel ready. She said that if he was ready to have kids, he was ready to commit. His father agreed. My ex complained that he was being coerced into marriage and said nobody cared about whether he was ready for life's milestones. He accused me and his parents of pushing him into situations he wasn't prepared for, from fatherhood to marriage. At that point, he stormed out, leaving his phone behind. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking my video. His parents continued discussing how irresponsible he was, and that's when I hung up. I was stunned. My boyfriend had only agreed to marry me because his parents threatened to cut him out of their will. I couldn't believe this was something I was learning the night before our wedding. I'd had no idea he felt this way. His behavior gave no indication he wasn't ready. Yes, we argued when I found out I was pregnant, but since then, he had been a good partner and father. Once I pulled myself together, I decided to leave. Thankfully, my kids were with me. I got into my car and drove to a hotel out of town. It was late, and my kids were getting fussy, so I put them to sleep, blocked my boyfriend and his family, and cried all night. Help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers. Your support is what makes this journey possible, so don't forget to subscribe. I couldn't believe the past year had been a lie. I texted my friends and family that the wedding was off and asked them not to contact my ex or his family. I spent what should have been my wedding day in the hotel, playing with my kids and trying to stay strong for them. The next day, I returned home to collect my things and move out. I dropped my kids off at my parents' place first. When I arrived, my ex looked panicked and exhausted. He asked where I'd been and launched into how worried he had been. Then he demanded an explanation and a public apology, saying cold feet didn't justify humiliating him and his family. I told him I had overheard his conversation with his parents. He looked ashamed but didn't say much. I packed the essentials and left without another word. That was a week ago. I thought it was the end, but a few hours ago, he showed up at my parents' house, begging to talk. He apologized, saying he loves me and the kids but isn't ready for marriage. He wants a second chance without his parents' interference. I told him I'd think about it, but honestly, I don't know if I can trust him again. Update 1. Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but I've been very busy with work, kids, and moving out, so I haven't had the time to update you all. The support that has been poured in has been overwhelming, and I truly am grateful that so many people have shown me such love. I really am so very thankful for all the advice that I've received since it's all been of great help to me. Yes, I've spoken to a lawyer regarding the custody arrangement. I want full custody of my kids because I've decided that I don't want to get back with my ex. Some people started sending me hateful messages and accusing me of being a selfish mother just for considering getting back with him, which was stupid and judgmental. I'm a mother, but I'm also a human being, and only a week has passed since that night of the phone call, so of course, I hadn't fully moved on. It was a 3-year relationship, for the love of God. I was very emotional, and I really did love him, which is why my emotions got the better of me, and I considered getting back with him. I'm feeling a lot more stable now, so I know that no matter how I feel about the situation, I have to put myself and my kids first now, so I can't get back with him. There was just no need for all that hate and judgment in the first place, but it's the internet, so I should have seen it coming, I guess. I started looking for a lawyer 2 days after I called off my wedding. It just took me a while to find someone that I was comfortable with and trusted fully. My ex and I had never spoken about custody and stuff like that because we'd never thought that such a day would even come. But now that we're done, I think it's time to take legal steps to ensure that nobody can take my kids away from me. I'm sure that he wouldn't even want to, but I'm not sure about his parents. They're very conservative and kind of orthodox when it comes to stuff like this, so I'm certain they wouldn't appreciate their son not having custody of their grandchildren and will do everything in their power to stop it. I'm just preparing myself. I last spoke to my ex around 3 days ago, and we haven't been in touch since then, which just proves that no matter what he says, he's not ready to be with me and isn't willing to change. Whatever he said the other day about wanting to make things work was hollow and meaningless because otherwise, he would have at least checked up on me once, which he hasn't. So I know I'm making the right decision by not getting back with him. Honestly, there's just no trust between us anymore, and I'm not going to be with a man who doesn't want to be with me. This is for the best. I'm going to tell him my decision soon, and I just hope that he doesn't get mad about the custody arrangement because that's the last thing I need on my plate right now. Update 2. I finally told my ex that I don't want to get back with him and also said I'm going to file for full custody, just to give him a heads up. I'd expected him to be alright with it because, as far as I knew, he'd already confessed that he wasn't ready for marriage or kids. So he should have felt grateful that I wasn't forcing him into something that he didn't feel prepared for. But he didn't take it well at all. Instead, he started arguing with me and told me that I couldn't do this to him. He said that I could break up with him if I wanted to, but I couldn't take his kids away from him. Now, that would have made sense if we had a normal relationship, but that's not the case. As you guys already know, my ex didn't want kids in the first place. Even up until a week ago, he wasn't ready to be a father, but all of a sudden, he was fighting for his kids' custody. I just knew that there must be something fishy, and his parents were probably still trying to control him. He was totally panicking while we were arguing, and I was trying to calm him down because we were meeting at a restaurant, and I was getting really embarrassed about the scene he was causing. After a while, he finally calmed down a little, and I tried to have a rational conversation with him because, at this point, I just couldn't afford a drawn-out custody battle. I didn't have the money for that, and I absolutely didn't have the energy for it. I knew his parents would be able to afford the best damn lawyers as well, so even if I had the upper hand morally, they still could manage to drag it out. My best bet was to reason with him and just hope that he didn't fight this. I tried to tell him that he'd been saying that he wasn't ready for kids up until a week ago, so this was the right way forward for all of us. I take care of the kids, which is what I wanted anyway, and he was free to live his life the way he wanted to, unburdened by marriage or kids. I thought that's what he wanted anyway, so this was the only solution. But he said that he changed his mind and now felt ready to be a father. It just didn't add up in my opinion, and when he said that he was ready now, it just confirmed that there was definitely something fishy happening. If he hadn't felt ready to be a dad in 1 whole year, then there was no way he changed his mind in just a week. So I asked him if there was something that he wasn't telling me, and he admitted that the reason he was fighting so hard was because of what his parents had said. Surprise, surprise. After the wedding was called off and I told him that I knew everything, he told his parents about this, and they told him to try and make things right with me immediately. They said that they'd accepted that I wouldn't marry him since that was out of their control now, but they absolutely wouldn't let him lose custody of their grandkids. Once again, they'd threatened to cut him off if he didn't manage to convince me to go ahead with a joint custody arrangement. He was practically begging me by then to agree to have joint custody of the kids, but I was so disgusted that I just left. I couldn't believe that once again he was dancing to his parents' tune, even though I'd given him an easy out. He didn't want to be a father. He didn't want to commit to me. But what he did want was his parents' money, which is why he was going to such lengths. If that's all he cared about, then I didn't want him anywhere near our kids. They deserve better. I didn't even want child support because I just didn't want him near or having anything to do with me or my kids anymore. He clearly didn't have a spine and was willing to do anything it took just so that his parents wouldn't cut him out of their lives, and that was just so pathetic. It's been a few days since then, and I've blocked him everywhere once again because I don't even want to talk to him or see him. The last message he'd sent me was suggesting that we go ahead with a joint custody agreement and he'd split his inheritance with me once his parents passed away. I can't believe that he's seriously suggesting this crap just for the sake of it. I guess this is what I get for falling for a spoiled brat in the first place. I'm a self-made woman, and I've worked my way up without anyone's help. Sure, my parents educated me, but we weren't very rich, so I had to rely on scholarships to pay for college, which meant that I had to work really hard for everything that I have now. As for my ex, well, he was the only son of uber-rich parents. I don't think I need to say anything else. You guys know what kind of person I'm talking about. I thought that he changed once he started dating me, and he truly made me believe that he had, but I was wrong. He really is a brilliant actor because he had me fooled for a good 3 years. But now I can finally see him for what he truly is, and I don't want to stick around to find out more about him. I'm done, and I'm fine with raising my kids on my own. No father is better than one who doesn't even want to be a father. Now I'm 100% sure that I did the right thing, and I hope that he comes to his senses and terminates his parental rights instead of turning this into a long custody battle. I'll keep praying. Update 3. Hey there, I'm here to finally share some good news with you guys. I know it's been a really long while since the last update, but I've been very busy. First things first, my babies and I have moved into a much smaller apartment, but at least I can call it mine, unlike the house that my ex and I used to live in. This place is near my parents' house as well, so they can come over from time to time to keep an eye on the kids. I've also hired a full-time nanny to help me out because I can't stop working, obviously. I'm incredibly lucky that I can even afford that right now. My parents are obviously helping me out with the finances, and I'm so grateful for it. I know they didn't see this coming, and neither did I, but they're doing their best, and I'm really glad that I have such loving and supportive parents. Coming to the part that I know people are most interested in, my ex. So yeah, he signed away his parental rights. I don't know what came over him and what changed, but my best guess is that he decided to finally stand up to his parents, or maybe his parents just gave up. One of my friends told me that he's moved out of the house he used to live in, so I'm guessing it's the former. He apologized to me a few days back once more and said that he wanted to give me money as compensation, but I wasn't about to take money from my ex-boyfriend. I know a lot of you are going to say that this was a stupid move, but I don't really care. I wasn't kidding when I said that I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. I forgave him, but that doesn't mean that I have to accept any form of compensation from him. I just wanted to move on, and my parents and I are perfectly capable of raising my kids without his help. So I texted him back saying that it was all right, but I'd appreciate it if he didn't contact me anymore, and he's respected that so far. Right now, I'm only focused on my kids and giving them the best life that I possibly can. I have no time to be sad or angry at my ex anymore, and I just want to be a good mother to my kids. That's it.